take a minute and clean off my table. Today's plan is to finish the electrical, run the main harness, the other two height sensors, and depending on how all that goes, I would like to try to get involved in replacing all of the brake drum components in the rear. So this way here, maybe we can put the tires and wheels on, and if we're lucky, test the system. I got the other two height sensors installed in the rear. Of course, hardware was a problem with those. I had to go get different size bolts. I was just talking to my wife, and I was telling her how this project is pretty straightforward, but none of the aspects of the build have been giving themselves up easy. Like every little aspect of the build fights me in one way or another. Like last night I was just drilling two simple holes, I snapped a bit, and you take a 10-minute job and it turns it into an hour job by the time you get the bit out, change the whole location, all that stuff. So same thing with the hardware. The hardware supplied was just like a 1/4 inch too long because there's a double frame rail where I was mounting the sensor. So just little bits and pieces that kind of just elevate the level of frustration sometimes when you feel like it's a pretty simple job. Especially when you take the time. So plenty of times throughout this build, I've taken the time, I've sat down, I broke out my pen, a pad of paper, wrote out the things that I needed, measured the bolts that I needed, and then when the time comes to finally go to use the stuff, it doesn't work. Which is super frustrating. But that's why we call it challenge to build, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Yeah, it should all come together pretty quick, Roger. Morning, Jerry. I'm in PA, buddy. JR, how you doing this morning? Main harness for the Airlift Performance 3H system. And if we're lucky, put the drums on, the drum brakes, maybe get the wheels and tires on and actually see if the system actually works. Yeah, JR, that's right on the money. I put in the height sensor last night on the driver's side rear, and where I have it mounted is where the C-notch is, right on top of the axle. Like the plan for the location worked out perfectly. Well, hello, doggies. The problem with that was where the C-notch is, there's a double frame rail. So I was drilling, and the main frame is still within inside that C-notch, and where my hole was, of course, just by luck of the draw, went right through the C-notch and hit the old piece of the frame and snapped the bit off. So it took me about an hour to get all that sorted out, and I'm just not willing to, for one, it's not my truck. Two, people are going to look at this truck, and when they look at it, I want them to say, wow, the person did a really nice job, and the quality is in the product. So I'm not cutting any corners. I'm not willing, I just told my wife too, I said, I'm not willing to half-ass my work. I said, even if it takes me twice as long as it should, then so be it. What, you get one shot to make a good impression, right? So when people look at the truck, even though it looks like a rather simple setup, you know, it's not like a crazy complex 4-link system or anything like that, regardless whatever you're building, got to take pride in your work, take your time, and ultimately you, as the builder, have to be happy with what you are working on. JR, no, I really haven't. Not for this one, no. But I need to. I need to really zero in on those kind of details moving forward. Because what I'm doing here within Challenge to Build as a whole is obviously I'm working on projects, most of which are ones that I want to work on, and then trying to implement an aspect of social media into them. So the moment that happens, the moment that I turn my camera on and start recording the process, automatically it's going to times it by at least 2. So there are times when I come out and do work just because I enjoy working in my garage quietly, and I had my boys out here last night. We were just messing with the harness. So there are times when I work by myself with no filming. But the moment the camera gets turned on, especially live streams, I like talking to everybody who watches. I'm trying to build basically my own TV show. Is basically what it boils down to. An interactive TV show. And a lot of you that watch have participated in not only this build, but my Viking build and different things that I do in the garage. And I've pulled a lot of knowledge from the people who watch and put it into the projects that I work on. So I think it's a really cool way to basically watch TV. And I'm okay with making mistakes on live streams. It doesn't really bother me because we're human. We're all learning here. Chaotic, no, it's not going to lay frame. This build was never intended to lay the frame. So it came in static dropped with like a 5.7 drop. I think it had 2-inch coil. I think it's got the 2-inch spindle with a 3-inch spring, or vice versa. And then the rear had a flip kit. We put airbags in the front. It'll come down a little bit lower in the front now. And then I added a 2-inch drop shackle in the rear to bring the truck all the way down in the back. And then we're going to use the bags to pump up the ride height when he wants it. So kind of an oddball setup, but I hit it with air yesterday, and I have approximately like 4 inches of travel in the rear at 100 psi. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. It'll be cool to get it on the ground and see what it looks like. And I can't get it on the ground unless I work on it. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Time to get to getting. Can you tell me where the pink wire goes? And I have a bunch of like red and black wires too. Does anybody know where I need to put them? There's a whole bunch of stereo wire running this truck. You can tell it doesn't look original, but I want my stuff to look like it's been there forever. I think I'm going to mount some cushion clamps right along the top of the cow for my wiring and keep it separate from everything else. I don't think I'm going to even attempt to zip tie it to anything that was there. I'm going to probably sink a couple rib nuts into the cow. 1, 2, 3, and then run my stuff because I have 2 power cables that need to come up here. And I'll put my stuff right across the top in those cushion clamps. This way here it keeps it outside of anything that was ever done. And in this way here they can see that my work is better than their work. And I'm just running my wiring right down where the main harness is for the back, and then I'm just going to zip tie it to it, kind of hide it within something that was already done. Be kind of sneaky. Another nice aspect of spending the money for having the work already done is all the wiring within this kit is also labeled. It tells you where it goes, what it's supposed to do, all of that stuff. So it makes it really simple. The hardest part is probably just going to be running the stuff, I think. I'm not too sure. For the stereo, it would be the blue wire. The blue wire is for the radio. That would be the signal. The blue wire is the signal wire to the amplifier. If my memory serves me correct, check me on that.